that's on everybody's mind right now is returning back to the office. And we have mixed emotions about it. So from an organizational and HR perspective, they have their opinions. On the individual side, we have our opinions associated and emotions, like, are we really ready to come back? But and let's be realistic that as much as we want to believe that remote work is this new trendy thing and it's good for us, it's really not. And there's a lot of studies that are now backing up that we are actually more disconnected, lonelier than ever before. And part of that is because we are social species. We are meant to be with others. Ivan, what do you think about that?
Elena, I think that there is this misconception that everything that when we are working remotely, we have more options. But let me tell you what, there has been a big chunk of population, like between one half and one third of the population who has been doing in-person work. So, and they had the opportunity to try and see how it works. And for two-thirds of the people who was doing this half and half, working from home hasn't been that awesome. And the reason is that approximately 70% of them finds it that working from home adds on top more responsibility and creates more stress to what we live. So it's quite disappointing, right? Because we also believe that there is a huge potential and opportunities for people to be more accountable, more master of your destiny when you have the option. So let's consider that companies have also been benefiting from the fact that they have also the opportunity to reduce the space of offices. So they have seen a good opportunity to reduce the recurrent expenses. And we hear Facebook, Google reducing the space and claiming that they will not allow that everybody comes back to work. But it's not as easy as that. So while we say that there is some benefits, and the benefits, of course, we can quantify it. There is people who had to go 1 hour or 2 hours in the traffic to go and reach the office. There was sometimes additional cost because you have to pay parking. Was the benefits also of spending more time with your family, living the day-to-day with your family, which is something that a lot of people has realized that they were missing when they were fully at work. But now when we look at cons, we think about loneliness. And you said it right. We are a species that are meant to be gregarian. We are a species to be that are meant to have this sense of belonging. This crew that think like us. There is a culture in bad or good. There is a culture in every single workplace. So, and you feel like belonging and being able to share. Now, working from home has accentuated this feeling of loneliness. And the sad thing is that loneliness produces depression. Loneliness produces an additional stress. So it is not all good for us. So doing this drastic movement and saying either one or the other, is it really the solution? Tell me a little bit more. What's your take on that, Elena?
So I think the solution, and this is kind of what all the reports and studies and kind of surveys that's been put out there to employees and organizations, and what is the trend, the theme that we see emerging is that flexibility is going to be the key moving forward. So what do we mean by flexibility is letting people decide essentially on their own what might work best for them, but also slightly encouraging them to at least make an appearance in the office from time to time. Because I think that also being isolated, we're not even realizing the impact it has on us until we're back with our colleagues. And then we start to realize how much energy and that social aspect that we miss, how much of it actually plays a role. So I think by having that flexibility and not necessarily having people there every day, but once a week, let's say, at least having people come in, whether it's for brainstorming meetings or, I don't know, a launch of a new product, maybe bring people in for lunch, whatever it may be. So encouraging them to come back, but also not pushing for it because it will add additional stress if we force it. So flexibility, letting people experiment with what might work best for them is the way forward.
I think this is a super valid point. In fact, when you feel that you have the control on your destiny, It is something that motivates people and relieves from any burden that you may have in your mental um, health. This is a very valid point, but there is something else to consider is that there is no way that we are going back to 100% being in the office. We have to accept it. And we have to consider that the tools around our work life needs to be a little bit more humanized. You cannot imagine how tiring, and this is something that we continuously discuss, Elena, how tiring it is to spend time in front of Zoom because we have to pay attention to 20 people around the screen, to how we look. We have to use a lot of cognitive power in order to detect and understand the signals from others. It is super timing. So, and I was mentioning to you, 1 hour of Zoom is equal to 3 hours of presence in terms of my mental capacity. So we need to be able to design technology that is a little bit more human. Do not allow that you are not more connected because you have a Slack channel for the team, for different things. You have access to emails, to different ways of interacting. This is making your people tired, in fact. So there needs to be a certain way to make that technology becomes more human, more adapted, so that it doesn't become an additional source of stress, right?
Yes.